Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? We got a long day here. I'm glad to see some people back. We're trying to keep everything on time, so grab a seat, come on in, grab a refreshment. My name's Scott Holden, and I run marketing for the Salesforce1 Platform. And I am super excited to be here in New York from San Francisco to do a little deep dive on what you heard about this morning, talking about with Mark, and tell you a little bit more about what's new and exciting with the Salesforce1 Platform, how it all works, and most importantly, some of the amazing innovations that our customers are doing using the platform and building apps for this next generation of customers, devices, and applications. So as with every Salesforce presentation, I need to start with the safe harbor statement. It basically says you should buy our products based on publicly available information, and if you want to read this, you can get it on our website. We've got an action-packed show, so I'm going to try and keep us on time today, because what I'm excited about most is showing you the technology, as well as bringing up 3 customers. We have 3 amazing customers with us here today to tell their story about how they're building applications on the platform. We're going to hear from ADP. We're going to hear from a science company called New England Biolabs, and we're going to hear from a music licensing company called ASCAP. But it all really starts with this fundamental vision around the Internet of Customers. And this is an incredibly exciting time to be in technology. You know, you think about this explosion of connected products. We've gone through these waves of technology innovation from the mainframe to the client server to now this whole new world where we've got smartphones and we're connecting with these products. And I'm sure all of you have a story or have heard something about a friend who's thinking about this amazing, almost crazy new idea of connected products. I just heard this story the other day. A friend of mine is looking to get a Fitbit. You all heard about the Fitbit that tracks your steps, only for their pet. And that kind of blew my mind for a second. And as we think about the Internet of Things and connected products, I think what's really powerful, and that's why this Internet of Customers message is here today, is about what does that mean for the customer experience. So it's great that you've got, you know, your pet connected to the Internet, but what does that mean for you as a customer and that pet owner? And so you think about the things of being able to track where your pet is, making sure it's not lost, keeping it within a certain set of boundaries, making sure that your pet's staying active and healthy, and you probably get some health-related information. And that's what changes that relationship, and that's what it's all about. And that's why we're here today, and why we're here at Salesforce to help you find those transformations. And when you think about the Internet of Customers, it's really all about apps. It's about the apps that actually make the Internet of Customers possible. And that's what gets me really excited about working here at Salesforce, is just the amazing amount of applications that we're able to build to connect with our customers, our partners, our employees, and our products in entirely new ways. And one of the things that's a theme, and you'll see this play out through all of the customer stories today, is that we're connecting, you know, our customers to their customers, but there's this amazing thing happens when you build an application for an employee that keeps them productive on the road using their mobile app, but you also are building applications for your customers. And by connecting the data and making these two applications interactive, it's really a game changer in terms of transforming how your customers and employees interact with you as a company. And that's what we're trying to do here with these ecosystems of apps all being built by our customers. And these are some great examples of some of the applications that our customers are building. So you can see here everything from, you know, the class scheduling app for students built by the Academy of Art, to the product catalog app for doctors being built by Zimmer, basically so that when salespeople go into the office to get that split second of time with a doctor, they can walk them through a beautiful catalog of their products on an iPad and show you how a knee device works, or, you know, a new drill works for someone in the surgery department. Time Warner Cable building a field service app for its Salesforce. Virgin America, you heard about that this morning. We have amazing, innovative apps across every industry that our customers are building using the new Salesforce1 platform. And that's what we want to talk to you guys about today. So I think there's something really powerful that happened with this explosion of apps. And you see this in the app stores all over the world, more and more apps. There's an app for this, there's an app for that. And it's such a powerful transformation that we've actually sort of changed our lexicon around applications. They're no longer applications, they're apps. And really what this means is this shift from what we call a system of record, where applications were tracking data and managing transactions, and you were kind of storing it all in a database, but it really wasn't that useful to the end customer or to your employees. And so really moving from the system of engagement, system of record, to the system of engagement is what this new revolution is all about. And going from a system where you're just kind of managing data to actually managing relationships, to where you don't really know much about what's going on, it's sort of an anonymous, to actually knowing what's happening with your customers and your employees and be able to deliver a higher level of service as a result. This is the new world that we're living in. Instead of a one-to-many, it's a one-to-one, that highly personalized experience that you heard so much about from the Marketing Cloud just a moment ago. And when you think about how this has evolved over time, you know, a lot of companies have had amazing ideas for 20 years about the applications they wanted to build inside their companies to improve productivity and transform how they work. But the reality is that, you know, legacy platforms have made it really difficult to keep up with all of the needs and wants of the business. And what you're looking at here is what Gartner's labeled the IT debt gap. This is about $1 trillion worth of IT projects, in many cases applications, that companies want to build that they haven't been able to. Because really what's happened is that IT has been so burdened with infrastructure and keeping the lights on, so to speak, that they haven't been able to keep up with the demands of the business. And this plays out even further when you look at that applied to mobile. You know, mobile apps, it's the future. And there's this recent study that came out from The Economist where they surveyed, I believe the number is 1,300 executives and said, are mobile apps important to your business? And 60% of them said yes, they are, and they're looking to build them. Yet only 50% of them had actually gone and built a mobile app. And that delta between what you want and what you've delivered, we've labeled the app gap here. And that's really what Salesforce is all about, is helping solve that and bridge that gap from what you know you need for your business, but what you've had a hard time making happen. And when you break it down a little bit further and ask the question, why? Why has it been so hard to deliver the applications? Well, legacy platforms, there was so much work that you had to do to build an application before you even thought about the user experience and whether it was mobile or not. You had to do things like buy the hardware, set up the software, configure it, tune it, test it, build the sharing model, the security model, all the analytics that analyze how the app's performing. This is not trivial stuff. This is actually where most of the hard engineering and complexity comes in building applications. And that's all before you think about the UI, whether it's mobile and social. And that's the beauty of the Salesforce1 Platform, is that all of that, because we're a cloud platform, you get out of the box. And we give you a number of different cloud services to make the process of going from that idea you have to application. And now you've heard a little bit about the Salesforce1 Platform. It was a big announcement at Dreamforce, and that's why we're all so excited, is that there's been yet another massive leap forward in what our platform technology can do. And if you look here at the diagram, this is our architecture of the platform. It really breaks, the announcement of new capabilities really breaks down into three key parts. The first at the bottom is our platform services. And this is where we took all of our platform services from Force.com, from Heroku, and from ExactTarget Fuel, and we wrapped them in APIs and brought those technologies together, along with a whole host of new services that I'll walk through in just a second, to really improve the development experience. Second, you see the Salesforce1 Platform APIs, and then the Salesforce1 app is the third piece on top of that. And I'll give you all a little backstory around why this was such a dramatic leap forward for us as a company and as a development organization. So, you know, it was clear to us that the connected products world, the future, this third wave of computing was upon us. And we knew we needed to build a mobile app ourselves, the Salesforce1 app, that was state-of-the-art, that could help our customers use it, use in any scenario, and bring all of their prior investments with Salesforce to the future. And you heard Mark just talk about that. And when we looked at doing that as a development organization, we realized that we needed to dramatically increase the number of APIs and the coverage of our APIs around our technology, so that every feature that we've ever built in Salesforce could be applied to a connected product or a connected device. And that was a massive amount of engineering that's happened over the past 12 months that's really reshaped the entire way that our development organization works. Now, if you're going to build a new feature for Salesforce, it's got to be API first so that it can be mobile and a connected product first. And that's the big leap forward that led to the Salesforce1 app, which is really just the first app that's a reference app for what's possible on the Salesforce1 platform. And really, hopefully, as you saw it play out today, it's more than just an app. It's really, I've heard it described as an app of apps or an app container, because all of your customizations, all of your micro apps can be brought into that, including all those ISV apps. So this is really the big leap forward for our technology. And if we double-click on that a little bit, I'm not going to go through all of these details, but we've announced a whole host of new services. You can see all the mobile services like geolocation. We just went GA with a brand new identity service to manage your identities across all of your apps. Private app exchange to be able to deploy applications. You know, it's funny, when we talk to customers, some of our savvy development customers, they don't think about developing apps as that challenging. But one of the things that they all say is hard is distributing apps, deploying them. Okay, I built this app. How do I get it in the hands of my employees or my customers? And the private app exchange, you can distribute all of your apps that you build in a very secure location, whether they're cloud, desktop, mobile apps, all using our technology. And you can go get that today on the App Exchange. So that's been a tremendous leap forward for us to solve that distribution problem. And then across the top, you see all the APIs. The metadata API, the tooling API, the analytics API, to basically give developers that raw access to our data model and all of our services to be able to build applications in any language in the form factor that they see fit. So this is really the secret sauce of the Salesforce1 platform, is that it's loved by both developers and business analysts. And one of the things that, when I talk to customers, they often will tell me that one of their biggest challenges is that they can't find developer talent. Developers have been said they're the new kingmakers, and they are a phenomenal resource in this new hyper-connected world. But there aren't that many of them that are skilled that can really help organizations. And so one of the benefits of our platform is that it both services that group of individuals and lets them code in any language using Heroku and Force. But it also is great for business analysts, types of folks like me who might just want to build an application with point and click. And that's one of the phenomenal things about our platform that you won't see anywhere else in the market, is the ability in just a few clicks to build a mobile app. Mobile apps in minutes. That's a fundamentally amazing technology that you won't see anywhere, and that's really what's led us to be the platform today that Gartner's recognized as the leader in their Magic Quadrant that came out yesterday. You'll see a little bit of an example of how that plays out in some of the demonstrations. And I just mentioned the Gartner announcement yesterday as claiming us the leader in the Magic Quadrant. IDC shows that we've got 40% market share, and that's because we now have 1 million developers using our platform. Over 4 million applications have been built, and we've got 2,000 ISV partners building applications that you can go find on the App Exchange with over 2 million installs from our customers. And you can see some of those successful customers here. So for the rest of the presentation, we've broken it down into 3 parts. Number 1, how do you build the next generation of apps? Number 2, how do you lead the next generation IT team? And number 3, how does that translate into helping you all create the next generation enterprise? So when it comes to building apps, the first thing that I'll call out is that there are 2 key ways to building applications. And this is a bit of a nuance, but it's an important one, so I want to make sure that everybody captures this. And first of all, I've been talking a lot about the Salesforce1 app and how that it's more than just an app, it's an app of apps. And you can see here that, and hopefully from the demonstrations this morning, that everything you've ever built in Salesforce can be brought into this user experience, the Salesforce1 app. An amazing number of customizations I'll show you in just a second. But in some cases, when you want to build a mobile app for your customers or for your partners, or you have some unique specifications where it's got to be its own tile in the App Store and you want to have it be publicly accessible, we have an amazing SDK, software development kit, that you can use to build pixel-perfect UIs like the ones you see on the right from ADP, Academy of Art, Trunk Club, and even our Dreamforce app. And so those are the 2 ways to think about it, and I'll show you a couple of different examples along with our customers here in just a minute. But before we get to the customers, I want to give you a demonstration from Rosie, who's here on my team. And Rosie, do you want to take this? And she's going to walk you through a demonstration of how to do both of those things right now. Over to you, Rosie.
Thanks, Scott. I'm really excited to show you today a very cool app built on our Salesforce1 platform. It's an app for location-specific marketing for a mall that was built just outside of Omaha, Nebraska. And it's called Nebraska Crossing. This app was built using our Mobile Services SDK by our excellent Salesforce Services team. And it's a hybrid app, meaning it's built with both HTML5 and native iOS code. So let's take a look at the app. Let's imagine I'm a shopper. I want to go out to the mall and do a little bit of post-Christmas shopping. Before I even get going, I can open up the app and do a quick scan to see what's going on in the app. I can look at the stores that are there. I can scroll down and see any videos, special advertisements, or offers that are on display. And I can even be part of the social conversation. But like most shoppers, I kind of know what I'm looking for when I go to the mall. So I can go to the menu, and I go right to the brands to see what brands are there that are interesting to me. And I scroll down, and I could see, the Coach brand. That's something that I'm really interested in. I think I have a couple Coach bags, saw a couple here in the audience. I can drill in and learn a little more about the store. I can even go to the website right from the app. But the nice thing is, even if I go to the website, I'm not leaving the app. I actually can go right back into the app experience. And like most savvy shoppers, I want to see what offers are going on at the mall. So I go into the menu, and I can go right to the offers. I can have the brands, the stores that have put any offers there. And I can also see what things are getting me to the mall, any giveaways, any contests that are going on. So all that's in the palm of my hand. I can see that right before I get to the mall. So the next thing I want to show you is something the customers tell us they're really excited about. It's the car finder. How many people go to big malls and then you don't remember where you're parked? These things are huge, right? So how it works is when I drive into the parking lot, the geofencing technology actually gives me a notification, just like that says, hey, why don't you check out our car finder app? So let's do that. We'll go to our menu, we'll go to car finder, select that feature, and you'll see it zoom in. It actually zoomed in really quickly to here in New York, but we've overlaid the mall parking lot map right on there. That blue dot is actually where our demo station is, right back there. And you can see the big red button on the bottom that simply says, save my parking spot. And that adds that red pin to the map right there. And so when I'm ready to go back to my car, when I'm done shopping, I simply come back out of the mall, open up Car Finder, and there's that pin. The blue dot will be wherever I'm standing, and I know how to navigate to my car. Very cool stuff. I think all of us could use that. So this app actually incorporates some really cutting-edge technology called iBeacon technology. iBeacons are these little devices like the one I'm showing here in my hand. This beacon was provided specifically by a company called Roximity that partnered with Salesforce in the mall to create this really cool app. Let me show you how it works. Now imagine I'm walking through the mall. I walk near my favorite Coach store, and all of a sudden, the beacon, which is in the store, notices my app, my phone, walking by, and pushes this really cool discount to me. It says, gee, Rosie, if you come in the store today, you get this 10% discount. Pretty cool stuff. So that's how I can get a great shopping experience. The other thing is that most people aren't walking around a mall with their phone open. Well, maybe some people are, but I'm not. So what you can do is if you don't know what offers you have, you've had your phone in your purse all day, you can go back to the menus and click on messages, and you get an accumulation of all the messages there that have been kind of hitting your phone as you walk through the mall by those iBeacons. So you've got a compilation there. You can actually select which store you want to go to and which offer you want to take advantage of. Very cool stuff. So that's the customer shopping experience. Let's take a look at what it would look like for a mall manager to manage this app. So we're going to go over to the browser, change over to the browser on the screen there. And let's go to the app. So what we've developed here is you're looking at the familiar Salesforce interface, but what you'll notice is that the tabs across the top are different. They actually correspond to things I need to do to manage the app. So we see things like brands, offers, campaign images. Let's go ahead and click into brands. Now I'm in the app. My name is John. I'm the mall manager, and I'm able to go in and update things like this brand. I can go into the Coach brand we just looked at, and with a few clicks, not any code needed, I can update the description. I can even select different category, update all the contact information. Pretty cool stuff, and that updates live real time in the app without any code. It's all clicks. The other real cool thing you'll notice about this brand page is that user favorite brands. The users, or the customers who have favorited my brand in the app are actually tracked here. So you can imagine that can get really darn interesting for marketers who want to push special offers to people who have actually favorited and indicated that their brand is one of their favorites. Very cool. Let's go to the iBeacon data. That tracks all the beacons that have fired. We have a little report that we can show that shows the beacons that have fired today. In fact, the notification that you just saw come up on the phone earlier from Coach, that's tracked there right on the top. And so you could begin to run all sort of analytics to see who's coming near your store, where they are, how far away from their store, did they get the offer, did they actually come in then? Again, very cool stuff. And then finally, let's take a look at how we can manage the website, all from the Salesforce app. So we'll go over to the Nebraska Crossing website. We'll click over there, and you'll see that the website looks much like the beginning when I clicked into the mobile app on my phone. That's because it's designed with responsive web design. And that means that if I resize the screen, it's actually without any code or any changes. It resizes automatically for any device that you have or that your customers may have. So the other thing we'll notice is if you scroll through the banners there, we have a banner there in the middle that says Black Friday. And we all know, and thankfully, Black Friday is way behind us. So our mall manager, John, actually is going to be able to update that right from the app. In fact, he's walking around the mall now, out doing his mall duties, and he's actually on his mobile phone. So we'll switch back over to the mobile phone. And now we're in the Salesforce1 app on the phone. The first thing you'll notice in his chatter feed there is that his manager, Lauren, says, hey, I noticed the Black Friday banner is there still. Better take it off. So with a couple clicks right from his phone, if you go into that menu there, you can see that those menus correspond to the tabs across the top of our app in the browser. He's clicked into the Black Friday app there. And he goes into edit, and with just a few clicks, he can turn that banner off on the website. Didn't have to update any code, didn't have to do anything. He's on his phone in the mall, and he can update that banner. So let's click back to the browser and refresh that. And you'll see, if we scroll through them, voila, the Black Friday banner is gone. All done right from his mobile phone from the Salesforce1 app, from an app built on the Salesforce platform. And that's a quick tour of what cool cutting-edge apps you can build, both customer-facing and for your administrators and managers to manage those apps, all in the Salesforce1 platform. Thank you, and back to you, Scott.
Awesome. Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you.
Great job. Pretty amazing demo showing you how both an app that they built using our mobile SDK, along with the Salesforce1 app used to manage it, can work together to really transform that customer experience. This is on the cutting edge of what a mall experience is going to be like, and they built that all in the Salesforce1 platform. So next up, I want to bring up a customer to tell you how they thought about building on the Salesforce1 platform. And we're lucky here to have Heather Tillerico from ADP. And Heather, come on up. ADP, I'm sure a lot of you know this brand. They're famous for payroll, but they do a whole lot more. So we're happy to have Heather here tell us about their application strategy. They've been a customer for a long time. They've built a number of different custom apps on the platform, and they started to use Salesforce1. So Heather, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at ADP.
Sure. I'm the Director of Sales Solutions. I manage a large team of individuals that manage Salesforce.com, both as an application and as well as the underlying data that resides within Salesforce.com for the entire North America instance of our sales base.
Awesome. And so I know you just celebrated your 10-year anniversary with Salesforce. Yep. Maybe give everybody here in the audience a little history of what your journey has been like with Salesforce and the number of the applications that you've built. How did that play out? Give us a little story.
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary as a Salesforce customer. We've really grown up with the platform over the years. When we first signed on with Salesforce, it was a base CRM application. With all of the acquisitions and the additional clouds that have been added over the years, it's really allowed us to expand our offering beyond the simple CRM offering to much, much more, including more recently our mobile experience. Mm-hmm. So we, in the past few years, have really seen mobile as the future in terms of how to really maximize the productivity of our reps. And we spent a lot of time figuring out what the specific use cases are for sales that make sense to build out from a mobile perspective. And we've built out a suite of applications on the Salesforce platform that work on an iPhone and an iPad that allow our sales reps to be fully productive while they're out in the field every moment of every day to do whatever they need to do.
Awesome. So maybe give the audience a little bit of insight into the types of apps that you've built. And maybe you can start with I think you started with orders and then went to the digital sales aid. So maybe give them a sense for how that played out.
Sure. So we have a large outside sales force that spends the majority of their time out in the field. They sell to small business reps, and they didn't have the ability to get access to their Salesforce data. They didn't have any mobile devices. They were carrying around laptops and brochures, and it really wasn't a very productive way for them to work, and it wasn't a very good experience for our customers, either to see, we're a technology leader and we were going there with paper. So we really, saw the opportunity to start with electronic sales order and provide our sales reps with iPads and an electronic sales order solution that would allow them to configure a quote and get an electronic signature from the client, all on the spot versus going through carbon copy paper with the client. So once we made some progress in terms of getting them the iPads and getting this electronic sales order solution out there, we really saw a huge opportunity to then expand our mobile footprint and build out some productivity apps that would allow our reps to maximize the rest of their time. So we built an app that we called Touch that would allow our reps to look at their accounts, map them, plot them out on a map, and schedule their day. So look for prospects within a 2-mile radius of my current location that are using a competitor, and then be able to view them on a map, drag them into their Salesforce.com calendar. So, we started to look from a productivity planning perspective, and then we had the end of the sales cycle, which was the sales order piece, but we were kind of missing the middle, and that's when we brought in the digital sales aid. So we thought, they're already in front of the customer, they have this great piece of technology, how do we enable them to facilitate their sales call with this piece of technology instead of carrying all of these brochures with them? So that's when we developed and rolled out the digital sales aid that allows our reps to facilitate their sales call and show all of their marketing collateral right to the customer on the iPad instead of pulling brochures out of their briefcase. So in the end, we ended up with a full mobile suite of applications to satisfy every step in the sales cycle.
Yeah, it's a beautiful app that you've built. And I know you're taking some of those apps now and trying to move them into Salesforce1, the mobile app, in the cases where it makes sense. Yeah, but I thought one of the other interesting things that I think the audience would love to hear about is your relationship with IT and how you think about rolling out these innovations as you've done.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one thing I think is unique to ADP and the way that we work with our IT organization. We have a very, very strong relationship and partnership. And one of the reasons that we were able to innovate so quickly is because we have a mobile innovation team specific to sales. ADP a couple years back developed one for our customer-facing applications. We now have one specifically for our sales-facing applications, and that organization sits in the sales organization versus IT. So there's a very strong amount of trust and partnership that we work with the IT organization to come up with these great ideas, develop these ideas, and then work together to make sure that we're following security protocol and all of the other things that we really need to do in order to successfully develop an app.
Fantastic. Well, Heather, thanks so much for being here today. It's a great story. Thanks to ADP.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we've talked about building apps. Let's talk about what that means to lead the next generation of IT. And I think Heather gave a great story here about how she works with her IT team. But I think this is a unique opportunity for all of you who are in IT out in the audience, because as you look at this rapid explosion of technology, everyone who's in IT is much sort of better suited to think about all these technologies and how to apply them to your business. And so I think it's a real opportunity, and I want to talk a little bit about how Salesforce is helping IT organizations. So you heard earlier about all of the different constituencies that the Salesforce1 platform applies to. And we've talked a lot about developers. I think I also want to call out the ISVs. I mentioned them earlier. But one great example here is Peter Gassner, the CEO of Viva. How many people in the audience have heard of Viva? A few hands. Well, this has been a great story for the Salesforce1 platform because Viva is an ISV partner. They build applications for the pharmaceutical industry. And it was an exciting moment because back in October, they went public for the first time. It was the first ISV partner to go public building technology on the Salesforce platform. And they now have a market cap of over $4 billion. We've got a brand new App Exchange Accelerate program that we've launched to help find the next great startups that are out there and usher them into this new era. And so if you want to learn more about that, there's a booth about it in the campground. So that's exciting. And we've talked a lot about end users and admins and, of course, your customers. But there was one person that we haven't spent much time talking about, and that's the CIO, the Chief Information Officer. And there's been a lot of debate around the CIO and whether they're the Chief Information Officer, or should they be the Chief Infrastructure Officer, or should they be the Chief Integration Officer with this explosion of new technologies. But here at Salesforce, we like to think of the CIO as the Chief Innovation Officer. And it's really this concept of innovation, which Heather just talked about, that's really so fundamental to helping you all connect to your customers and outmaneuver your competition. And so if you look at how this plays out for a CIO, Deloitte did this fascinating study where they surveyed all these CIOs and said, how do you spend your time? How does your IT team spend its time? And 57% of the time, they were really working on infrastructure and basically keeping the lights on. And then the remaining 43% of the time, they spent innovating, thinking about strategy, how to move the business forward with technology. And then they asked them, how do you want that relationship to change over time? And this is what the response is. They really wanted to kind of flip that dynamic and focus more on innovation. And that's really what has happened with the cloud and what's really powering IT organizations to embrace innovation. And if you look at the dynamic and you look at the history of technology, where so much time was focused on infrastructure and managing the servers, it really kept IT from focusing on building apps and moving the business forward. And that's the fundamental opportunity that's so exciting with the new Salesforce1 Platform. And if you think about how that's possible, I want to just give a little bit of insight for folks who are new here. The way that the Salesforce1 Platform works is that it's based on a concept called multi-tenancy, which means that all of our customers share one common code base, which means that when we update our software, our technology, 3 times a year, everyone gets the new features. So when we roll out the new Salesforce1 mobile app, when we roll out identity, private app exchange, all the new developer tools, everyone gets that as soon as it comes out. And that's what keeps our customers focused on looking forward instead of trying to look backward and keep all of their old investments and trying to update them. That's really this concept we call future-proof. And if you look at the customization component of this, all the customizations, all the custom apps that our customers have built, 6 billion lines of code, 500 million API calls, 15 million custom databases, and 12 million custom Visualforce pages, all of those now work in our Salesforce1 mobile app. That's what we mean by multi-tenancy and future-proof, and that's what's so exciting about this new technology. So to talk a little bit more about it, I wanted to use an example, New England Biolabs. And we're lucky today to have the CIO, Ken Grady, here to share their story. And we also have a quick film. This is a company that makes genetic enzymes to help scientists code the human genome. They send these enzymes into laboratories to help scientists. And rather than tell you about it, we've got a great video. So why don't we roll the video to give you a sense for what's going on at NEB.
Science is a very stressful endeavor because you have to fail a lot before you actually are successful. So anything that allows you to go through as much work as possible in the shortest period of time is going to help you get to that successful experiment a lot faster.
New England Biolabs, they produces enzymes that cut and modify DNA and started to make those commercially available to the scientific community.
We developed a model several years ago where we were putting freezers of our products out at our customers' sites. Those freezers, that inventory was never interactive with us. We didn't know what they were using until they called to refill it. So last year we went to Dreamforce and listened to how others were using the Salesforce1 Platform, thinking about ways to connect in not only their people, but also their product. And we came back in and started thinking, what would our freezers tell us? If we could connect it into our Salesforce environment, how would that help us become more responsive to our customers? It's almost like an ATM for enzymes.
They would go to the freezer, look to see where the product is. They would authenticate themselves, pull the product out, scan the product, lock the door, confirm that they've received it, and head back to the lab. That simple workflow process could save them days.
The combined platforms of Heroku and Force.com, we just had to connect it to the freezer itself. In less than 30 days, we had it up and running.
What's exciting to us about Salesforce as a platform is how quickly we've been able to move from a legacy and siloed environment of a number of different applications that didn't talk to each other. Something that's unified and helps us see our customers in the same way that they see us.
We can look for trends across our customers who are using products together, perhaps that we haven't noticed before, and that may allow us to bundle those products together or perhaps modify those products that will service the customer in a different way.
By connecting to Salesforce, you're extending your business process directly to the connected customer.
The scientists we sell our products to really are working on the building blocks for understanding how disease works, for understanding how life evolves.
We're helping that researcher get to that eureka moment eventually faster, then we're very happy.
Okay, I love that story. I love that a company like NEB of about 300 people came to Dreamforce last year and were inspired to think about how to innovate in their business and were able to deliver that technology. So I'm going to do a quick demonstration here, and then I'm going to have Ken come up and talk a little bit about it. So why don't we start the presentation here. What you're looking at is an application that NEB built using Heroku that's on the front of the freezers in all of the labs that are around the world where their scientists are doing experiments. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through this, but this is basically where they would go. It's like an ATM for enzymes, to use Ken's words, and check out different products. Now, what's amazing about this is that this was built on Heroku because they wanted to code it in Ruby, a language that their developers knew, but they also wanted to take the telematics data from the freezer and store it and keep track of it using Force.com. So let's bring up Force.com and show you how they're tracking all of this information inside their company headquarters. So in this case, we're actually playing the role of the CMO here, Andy Bertera. And you can see across the top that they're not tracking customers and accounts. They're tracking freezers and scientists and products. And if you're Andy here, you can see all the different things he's following in the middle of his chatter feed. And if we go down a little bit and look at that order, there's an order that we just placed. We'll open that up, and it'll take us to the Keynote freezer. And what's amazing about this is that this is actually a record of every single freezer they have across the globe. And here's the one that we have here in New York City with us today, and we're tracking all that information. This is the most amazing part. Look at the freezer telematics. So these are statuses being sent from the freezer through Heroku into Force.com and tracking this information in real time. So for all the operations people out there that are keeping track of it, you can see if it's closed, if it's open, if the temperature is the right temperature. You can see the inventory. This is basically a retail store. You can also see all the orders that have happened there and the activity history. And this is the really exciting part for New England Biolabs, is that for the first time, they actually have visibility not just into a freezer system, but they actually have visibility into their end customer. And in this case, Dr. Jamie Ayer, we can actually go now and see what he's purchased and everything about him. So we can see a little bit of the information here. We can see his login. We can see his activity history, the orders. And something real, I'll pause right there on the orders. One of the amazing things about this is that every time a scientist comes up and takes some of the product out of the freezer, it automatically generates a reorder tied back in to their back-end system, which in this case, their ERP system is Epicor, and it automatically plans for a reorder to make sure the freezer is always stocked. You can see the inventory, any cases, and then what's really exciting is this concept of automatically adding anyone who's bought a certain product to a new campaign. This is a great way to cross-sell this doctor. Hey, you like this product, but you might like this new product that we're coming out with next. So next thing we want to do is show you how we might execute this sample campaign for the customer. And so I want to quickly customize the application, basically open up the hood and show you how you can build applications and customize Salesforce. So let's edit the page layout here. And what I want to show you is how you can quickly create a custom action. And we're going to drag this over here into the publisher and hit save. And what you'll see here is by doing that, we've automatically got a new send sample button there that's been rolled out in the application. But what's powerful about this, if we bring up the mobile application, let's switch over to the iPhone. I want to show you how easy that is. So this is the same version of Salesforce running in the Salesforce1 app. And if we open up the left-hand nav there, you can see all those same scientists and freezers. And if we go over to the scientist record, we're going to pull up Dr. Jamie Ayer. And here you're going to see that customization that we just made to the mobile phone. And this is really the power of this is what it means to make mobile apps in minutes. We're going to pull up this record, and you'll see the we have to wait for the record to load here. The power of this platform is that when you hit the plus button, you can control by record all of the custom actions that happen. And so in this case, you may want to log a call, or you may want to log an interaction, but you can also do something like send a sample. And that's an important thing for NEB that wants to make sure that when a doctor gets a marketing promotion, that sample is actually in the freezer when they go up to use it the next time. So that's really gives you a quick example. We're having a little bit of a challenge there to see that custom action, but that populates right in the browser. So that's a great example of how NEB is using this technology, but why don't I switch over and have Ken come up to talk about it and tell us about the journey that they went through to get there. So Ken, thanks for being here today.
Thank you. It works on my phone in the production environment.
I know that Ken got excited about this because not only is this something that we're demoing, he's actually given us this instance. This is his real developer environment that we're using right now to show you this technology. So Ken, tell us a little bit about yourself and the journey you've been on with Salesforce.
Sure. We actually went live on Salesforce about a year and a half ago, and we had a very rapid journey from the initial Sales Cloud through the Service Cloud, and then developing this new application on the freezer, which we're really excited about. And as you saw in the video, which you guys did a great job of, we got the idea from coming to Dreamforce and looking at what other people were doing. And as a company that was founded, one of the oldest biotech companies in the world, founded by scientists, for scientists, we really feel deeply connected to the research going on at the institutes, at the colleges and universities, at the pharmaceuticals and biotechs who are using our products. And we were looking for those ways to connect deeper to and engage more with those scientists using our enzymes, our polymerases, and the other products that we make for molecular biology to really understand how they were using it, who was using it, what research were they doing, and what could we do to better support them. And when we had the idea, when we saw the GE demo, we went back, and I told the story once that I actually went back to my hotel room, and I was looking at the minibar, and I was thinking, what the heck could that minibar tell me about my buying pattern? And a light bulb went off, and we went back and looked at our freezers and thought about how we could connect that into our customer information and our product information and gain great new insights and a whole new level of engagement.
Fantastic. So I know you built this application with Heroku on the freezer, and now you're working on it inside Force.com. Tell us about kind of how you rolled that out as an IT organization. It was an incredibly rapid prototype and build. I know you worked with a great partner of ours, Ionia.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how fast that was, because I think the speed at which you're able to do this, they just came up with the idea last year at Dreamforce, but you actually were using it much faster than that. So walk us through some of the speed there.
Yeah, we went back and laid the challenge down to Ionia, and they are great partners, and we said, what could you do in 100 days? And we said, let's come up with the first iteration and prototype. And we went to some friendly customers that we've had a long-standing relations with. And we said, hey, if we gave you something to prototype and we knew it was a working model, could you give us feedback? And we put that first physical prototype of a tablet strapped onto the front of a freezer with all the telematics and the product information into those customer sites right at the end of that 100 days. And we did a 90-day prototype pilot. We got the feedback, and we actually iterated again the second prototype, the second iteration that we've gone, and that was what we demoed at Dreamforce. And I'm proud to say that we're actually working on the third iteration now, and it looks substantially different and better. And every time we've been able to take the feedback from our customers, develop a new user interface, develop new ways of thinking. We're actually looking at a virtual freezer program now, which separates it into a true mobile app where we have our reagents in the smaller freezers at some of the sites that we might not put the actual freezer in, our freezer in, that makes it more adapted to the way that our customers are working, more responsive to how they want to consume our product and want to talk to us and engage with us.
It's amazing, Ken, what you've done. Thanks so much for being here again. Thanks for coming to Dreamforce.
Sure.
Thanks for sharing your story. And keep us posted on all the innovations. Ken sends me updates on the new things he's doing with the mobile app. It's pretty phenomenal. So thank you for all you're doing. Okay, we're coming towards the end of the session here, and I want to wrap with a final customer story. Really what you see with this, this new generation of apps, this new generation of IT teams, is that companies are fundamentally transforming how they go to market. And that's really what's kind of special about this connected product vision. You can see some amazing examples here of how our customers are innovating in their industries. And there's one industry not up here, which is music, and that is something that I want to talk about. And we've got a great guest here, Paris from ASCAP. And they're doing some amazing things on the platform. So I want to talk to him a little bit about his story. Paris, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
First of all, why don't you just tell us a little bit about ASCAP? Because it's, we've got a number of great acronyms here today. But give us the story, because it's really a pretty cool one.
Sure. So what ASCAP does, it's one of the largest performing rights organization in the world. We take the songs written by our songwriters and music composers, and we make them available pretty much across the world through various businesses. It would be radios, televisions, internet streaming, even bars, and even if you see there's music being played outside in the lounge area here at Salesforce. So we make that music available to our businesses, And these businesses acquire music rights to play that music, because we want to make sure that the music that's played around the world, our songwriters and our music composers get compensated for it.
Before I met Paris, I thought that all the music played in hotels and bars everywhere was free. And your company is basically making sure that all the artists that made that music gets compensated fairly.
Absolutely.
So it's really a cool company. So tell us about how you got started with Salesforce.
Sure. So, we initially were on Lotus Notes, and our sales teams were using Lotus Notes. And during that time of the era, I think things were good. There's not too much internet streaming and digital distribution going on. So things were good, but as the industry changed, we had to rapidly start making changes in the way we interacted with these businesses. And that's when, some of our key folks in our management team, went through Salesforce. They started seeing what benefits they could have, the vision. And I think the whole idea was to be able to ride a wave, right? You want to constantly ride a wave, and that's what I think Salesforce gives us is you are constantly innovating. We want to be innovating ourselves, but we don't want to spend all that time and money building apps that over a period of time, they end up being legacy, right? So that was a great vision that our folks saw, and this was back in 2005.
So you're keeping track of all of the restaurants and hotels like this one who are consuming music that you're tracking, which I think is amazing. And you told me something earlier where, this concept of innovation, you're in the IT organization, your boss is the CIO, and you're trying to stay ahead of the curve. You sort of described the software development process before and now with Salesforce. Give the audience a little bit of a sense for how that's played out.
Right. So I think I'm sure a lot of IT folks would sync up with me on this. We've traditionally built software in a way where we start off with the data model, we build the middle tier, the front end, and then we spend a lot of time testing browser compatibility, operating system compatibility, mobile, iOS, Android, the list goes on. And then you have, high availability to be thinking about, scalability, DR, backups. So I feel we end up losing focus on what's more important is that customer that we want to be able to interact with. We're spending our time trying to make sure all the ducks are in the row, right? But not being able to focus on the key objective here. So I think what we want to do going forward is take our licensing systems that actually deal with businesses across the United States and be able to build it in a more innovative way, be able to build applications that are super easy for our businesses to use and acquire licenses. So we're looking at rapid prototyping, a faster time to market, and the whole mobile and social collaboration. So I just want to throw a quick one example that happened, this weekend. So I was out there, the kids were getting bored. It's been cold out here in New York. So we went down to an amusement park. It's an indoor amusement park in New Jersey. And it was great. They were having live music, and there was music being played across the whole park. And the kids were having fun. I was having fun. And I just thought, what's the fee structure looking like for this park?
I'm sure all of you think that when you go to amusement parks.
Right. I guess now, but I've been here for like maybe five months now at ASCAP, and all of a sudden, I think that's what I end up doing is check my phone. It's so easy. Check my phone, open up the Salesforce app, and see, okay, what's this like? What's the fee structure like? So I open it up, I search for the account, I browsed through, and I was surprised that they were not licensed. And it was fine, things happen, these licenses expire, etc. So I just took a picture of the live event, opened up the chatter section, uploaded the picture, put in a nice comment, hey, I'm having a blast here, see ya. And on Monday, the sales team comes back, because the way it's all nicely integrated. They come back and say, oh, yes, thanks. We had last been in touch with this client like in June, and we'll be looking to work with them again. So this was amazing. Rather than sending an email, and I, again, am not familiar with all my sales teams, right? So just being able to associate my message to an account through Chatter, send the message right and directly to that salesperson, and it was fabulous. Meaning that just in itself was tremendous. A true platform.
Thank you for being here. It's a fantastic story. Another great example of an industry being transformed, the music industry. So that's going to wrap up our presentation for today. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of the show, attend the last session, and stick around for a drink at 5 o'clock. Thank you very much.